Hola.
Welcome to WagerTalk Today, the gold standard of sports betting shows where we talk the talk and walk the walk. Big Friday, Sweet 16 matchups, MLB. We got a lot of free plays and a lot of things to get to. At the end of the show, I'm going to try and go over some of the fringier sports and all around the world. But Dan, man, pack show. We got there's just so many sports, right? It's like, oh, college football's over. Now what? It's like, well, what do we got on today's show? Big Friday.
Yeah, not only are we loaded with sports to talk about, the Cup runneth over. You got MLB action, you got Sweet 16 action coming to a close. We'll preview a little bit of Elite Eight since we have some of those, potential matchups set after our results last night. But why have some of these lines moved, guys? We're going to figure that out with Gianni the Greek. St. John's and Duke, Alabama and Michigan. That's right. Teddy, rock steady covers, going to be on here talking about those two games. And then we're also going to do a little sell me. I think you guys are going to like the matchup I have here for you in that one. Marco's going to join us. He's got your other two breakdowns here. Michigan State, UConn, Tennessee, Iowa State. How should we be betting those? And how does Marco bet the early season MLB? Does he hold off? Does he fire? How's Marco attacking? We'll find that out, Andy. We're going, like you said, all around the world. Sure, we're going to get some fringe sports for the folks, but we're also going to find you some winners. That's what it's all about, Andy. Locked and loaded Friday. Let's get some winners, brother. How are you doing today, man?
I'm okay. We're losing golf play. We lost darts yesterday, so it's not been a good run. Jan came in hot with a really good baseball play that hit. That helped. We had our play over at Sports Memo. That's on a 10-1 run. So kind of a mixed bag of good and bad going into the weekend, but we certainly got a big weekend. Let's bring in Yanni and let's start talking about some of these moves for tonight, but also what were the results last night for everybody, Yanni?
I ended up splitting. Today's the day that I have my big plays for the Sweet 16. Friday was what I was looking forward to all week. And yesterday I only had two bets, and I ended up splitting. Hit the side, lost the total in the Arizona game. And how good is Arizona? That was the one team I was talking about that I fear for my futures. Yeah. I have futures. I have Duke to win it all, and I have Purdue to win it all. And the team that I feared is that Arizona, because not only are they loaded and can score against anybody, but they did it against a really tough strength of schedule. They had a top 10 strength of schedule, and they're third offensively as far as efficiency goes. And they went up against an offense in Arkansas, which was right there as well. And you saw what they were able to do to them. So Arizona, no surprise, came out as a bigger favorite in this next game against Purdue than I think some of us expected. But we didn't see the take on Purdue. Like, I thought if it came out as high as 6, that you would see some Purdue money. That did not happen. So it tells you how much respect Sharps had for the Arizona team. Iowa, again, continues to be that Cinderella story, and Sharps faded them at the opener against Illinois. Opener came out at about 6.5, and you saw now pretty much 7s across the board, or 6.5 chalked on the Illinois side. Again, Iowa is that Cinderella. But truth is, I had Iowa 24th in power ratings, even though they weren't ranked in the AP. So, again, I'm not all that surprised. Yesterday, I think the books did pretty good. They ended up doing well because of the dogs. Once you get that money line dog that comes in to wipe out a lot of those parlays, that ends up turning in a good day for the books. Nebraska was getting a lot of money late. Houston was getting a ton of money. That was one of the most one-sided bets yesterday. So it ended up being a good day for the books. Moneyline parlay with Arizona and Purdue did get there. Purdue winning by 2. Fortunately, I needed Purdue there for my future also. So yeah, a good night yesterday. Today, here's what we're looking at. So far, one-sided public money. And no surprise, they're betting all the favorites except Duke. So they're betting Michigan, they're betting Connecticut, they're betting Iowa State. Michigan State, Connecticut, not as one-sided. Iowa State, Michigan, getting most of the money. St. John's also getting money from the recreational bettors. Again, Duke is that team's not getting respect from the market. It's almost like bettors want to see Duke lose. And because they came close to it, not being as dominant, in their game against Siena, and they covered against TCU, but it seems like not getting much credit there. So You're getting money on St. John's from the betting public. As far as what the Sharps have done, no surprise. When you get to this late in the tournament, lines are really tight. And we talked about that yesterday. They're either going to bet early to get out ahead of the market, and we talked about those moves they got on early in the Sweet 16, or they're going to bet late some of the bigger bets as the recreational bettors get to the window, and that money overwhelms the book, forces some adjustments, and then you'll see them come in once again. Because so far, you haven't seen any movement from the Sharps on the Duke game. In Connecticut and Michigan State, you saw the early move on Connecticut at -1, and that only moved up a point. Even the total still sitting about 36 and a half. Same thing with Michigan, Alabama. They took out the 10s on Alabama, but then you saw some Michigan -9 get bet. And finally, in Iowa State and Tennessee, they took out the 4.5s on Tennessee. But then yesterday, you saw Iowa State -3.5 get bet. Again, it shows you just how tight some of these lines are, and why you'll see a difference of opinion between sharp bettors plus EV bettors this late in the season based on their power ratings, or, based on any injuries, value over replacement, what everyone quantifies each player. And that's where you'll see the differences. But most of that will come late, like that late steam, pay attention for. Otherwise, they're looking at like player props, team totals, second halves, in-game betting. Again, they're not looking for action. They're looking for inefficient numbers. And this late in the season, tournament time, you expect the market to be pretty efficient. But where we benefit as bettors is that the book has to factor in biases. They have to factor in recency bias. They have to factor in the narrative of the public, because again, that money's so overwhelming, and that narrative is where we're able to find some value, because they have to shade towards biases on the total and the side, and they've done so. So hopefully we have a good night tonight. I have my 5%. That's in there. There's a 4% with a bonus. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's a future in there also in that package. I threw it in there as a bonus as well. And hopefully we cash this one, because I'm going to roll it over in the Elite Eight. Again, this was the time of year, like I told the subscribers, get ready for March Madness. We're going to be firing nothing but 4% bets, and we'll probably finally fire some 5s. And I already like something for the Elite Eight tomorrow. So again, let's drop some bombs. Let's make some money this weekend. And starting with tonight, for sure, with our 2 big bets that I need. Like I said, I went to the window with these, Andy, today. So when I get to the window with those bets, I'm very confident. And the truth is, I swear to you, I bet both of them at the window. Like there's a 5% in there and a 4%, both straight bets, both sides. But you'll see how I added 1% to show just how strong even that 4% is. So big night for me tonight. Big night.
Yeah, I was watching the games last night. I don't handicap college basketball. I haven't made a college basketball bet all season. But boy, I'll tell you, eye test, Arizona jumped off the screen. That was the team last night. I was like, wow, this team is smoking. So it's just interesting. You have like, is this the same sport? There's a game that ended 109-88 and a game that ended 65-55.
Right, 55. Yeah.
Dude, when I saw it, it was like 24-22 in the first half or something like that. And I was like, I have to be like behind or something. It made no sense to me. Lowest scoring game. That was crazy. And then just how Illinois absolutely dominated then coming out of the second half break, dude. Houston, something's got to change. I don't know if they bring
it's
their
the
coach
offense.
back.
It's the offense. They're 54th. 54th in efficiency offensively. You can't win a tournament like that. Again, you have the number one defense. We give you that. You held Illinois, who's a top 5 offense, to only 65 points. But you have to be able to put up 66 to win. Yeah. And they're just not capable of doing that. That's the problem.
Crazy. Yeah.
If you hold teams to 60, you still have to score 61. And they're just not able to do that. That's the problem.
Gianni, you see anything MLB, NBA? A few games.
Yes,
only 2 NHL games. So what do we see in NBA and MLB today?
Yes, sir. Nothing in NHL, as you said. Here's some of the NBA and Major League Baseball. In NBA, 5-10 Cleveland -5. 513 over 237 and 238, Chicago and Oklahoma City. 515, Houston minus 12.5. 518 over 228, New Orleans, Toronto. 521 under 235, Washington, Golden State. And finally, 524, Portland minus 10, double digits. In baseball, 966 over 7.5 juiced, Colorado, Miami. 972 over 8.5 at minus 105, LA and Houston. And 976 over 7.5 juiced, Yankees, Giants. One side juice, but it goes to show you wise guys do lay chalk in baseball. Stop all that nonsense on Twitter about sharps don't lay more than minus 140. I don't know what sharps you spoke to, but they definitely lay more than minus 140 because they laid minus 210 and 220 on the Dodgers this morning. And I personally did so. So yeah, Dodgers minus 210, minus 220 also got some sharp money. And as we speak, it looks like, Michigan State or the total in St. John's and Duke getting some under money. So that was already one-sided from the public. They're betting that one under. The sharps are on the under. That always worries me, man. When they're all on the same island, yeah, usually not a good sign.
We got PFL and UFC this weekend. Speaking of laying juice, I will be more than happy to lay juice on some of these fights, especially in PFL. There's a guy fighting. The event is in Pittsburgh, so one of the best things is when they have local fighters just to kind of throw them a bone, and they have to fight like an actual PFL fighter, and then the local guy just gets nuked. Thoroughly enjoy that. So we'll be taking advantage of that for clients. But here we go again with some huge favorites here, Gianni. I mean, Lexa Tenera, minus 700. Navajo Sterling, minus 600. Chase Hooper's coming up to minus 300. Bahamondes, minus 310. Larian Douglas making his UFC debut at minus 340, minus 900 on a retiring fighter. These lines are crazy. Where
they should be. They have to be based on results. We're through, I think, seven events so far. Okay. So I send notes in every week to the UFC. I keep a running tally for them. So through 6 events going into last week's, we had 75 fights. All right. We were at 57 favorites and 18 underdogs versus the closing line. We're close to, and the favorites did good against last week. We're close to 80% favorites, close to 20% underdogs. That's not sustainable. But when they keep kicking the books in the mouth with favorites, and when the dust settles, they end up cashing 4-fighter, 5-fighter, 6-fighter, 7-fighter, 8-fighter parlays. They're going to jack these sides up, and they don't care if guys like myself go in there and they take the plus 280s, even though it should be plus 240. They don't care. They're letting us do that, knowing that most recreational bettors aren't comfortable doing that. Because if you could take a plus 200, Andy, you got to understand, if you're taking a plus 200 and you're running hot, you're on point, like you're seeing things clearly, you're placing plus EV bet after plus EV bet, you're only picking off edges, you're still going to throw that ticket out more than 6 out of 10 times when you're running hot. You'll be lucky to cash that ticket 3.5, close to 4 out of 10 times. And most bettors aren't comfortable doing that. So they bet these favorites. And when the favorites do well, like they've been doing, it forces the books to adjust significantly. So if you like a favorite this week, you got to have conviction. Not saying the favorite won't win, but you're paying a premium. And there's nothing wrong with paying a premium. I've done it all the time. I've paid more for an asset because I believe that it's going to go even higher than I thought it was worth, because at that time, I was willing to pay a little more. People do it with real estate all the time. They come in and go over list because they want that property. Again, that doesn't make it a bad deal, but you have to have conviction going in because you're not getting the best of it as far as line value goes. Where with the underdog, not as much, because the favorite's getting juiced. So you don't need as much confidence in your plus 200 as you did a couple weeks ago. And with all that said, let's share this. Here's one side that I've seen now in two different MMA accounts. Rarely are the betting syndicates doing like MMA stuff. It's more like originators and independent sharps that are really good that, whether it's side totals, props, or in-game, they kind of all have their specialties. Make a long story short, two accounts that I have access to that do bet MMA, both of them have Izzy Adesanya in their account at -140 and -145. So I think that's why we're looking at Izzy now at -150. And again, we talked about this yesterday. I like the dog in the main event. I like the dog in the co-main event. And now that main event scared me off a little bit. So I'm not going to be able to bet Joe Pyfer. I don't butt heads with those guys. There's more than enough opportunities and, bets the place that I don't want to butt heads with someone that I know, wins when, so few do. But just sharing some of that info with you.
I feel like button heads. I don't see it with Izzy. I see it with Pyfer. I 100% agree with you on the dog. Adesanya's best days are so far behind him. His durability is gone. Pyfer, did you see Pyfer found Jesus? He said he's a born again Christian. I hope Jesus helped him with his cardio. That's the only problem that Pyfer has. But if he got some work in with there, I'll give you some underdogs I kind of like. You like Grasso. I like Belgarui. I like Kyle Nelson. I like Musayev. I love Tabora. I don't understand that line at all. I don't know. I like Yanez as well. Any of those you agree with?
Yeah, I like what's it called? Adrian Yanez. I do like Adrian Yanez, and I talked about that. One of the guys I respect a lot bet them yesterday. I like where's that other dog? What was his Belguri?
Yes.
Also that's confirmed. Who else? The one favorite now she's the dog. Gabriela Fernandez over Casey O'Neill. I like Fernandez in that spot against O'Neill. Wow. Earlier, I thought Fernandez was actually like she was a -130, 135 favorite. Now she's like even money. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I bet a bad number. I already bet Fernandez. I bet her at a bad number. Now I'm hoping to be the product of freaking good luck. It's like last week. The same thing happened to me with Al Sawadi against Shamrock. I had Al Sawadi -120. I could have got +120 5 minutes before the fight. I was like, what a terrible bet. Goes out there and wins the decision easily. Hopefully my girl does it too tomorrow because I got a bad number here. Sorry, guys.
I'll be pulling for you as well. Remind everybody what you have up again. I know you got big college basketball.
My Friday college basketball package is up. I haven't even put the Steam sheet up today. Just all that excitement with tonight's college basketball. There's the 5% in there. There's a 4.5%, let's say, in there as well. Plus the bonus future. I'm looking at some possible totals and another side bet as well. That package is going to be packed. We didn't have volume in yesterday's Sweet 16, but I do love tonight's Sweet 16. We're going to roll it over tomorrow because I am really, really liking the Elite Eight. And more importantly, we have a free Steam room tomorrow. 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going over that Elite Eight. We'll be going over Major League Baseball, NBA. And by then, we'll know both all 8 Elite Eight teams. And we'll talk UFC and all that good stuff. So make sure it'll be free for everyone. And we'll talk about the baseball season ahead and how we're going to set up for that. So jump on board. Let's have a good night tonight first. Let's cash these college basketball bets, and then we'll move on to the weekend. So best of luck to everyone, and good couple days to do some damage.
Absolutely, man. Let's have a big weekend. Yeah, we'll recap everything on Monday with Gianni. So let's see. Dan, you got a big lacrosse play that's up. That line's still holding pretty strong. Looking forward to a big weekend. We got 3 cricket plays that are up. We just the UFC PFL videos that we broke down all of the fights in one video. So we want some UFC PFL breakdown. But yeah, big weekend coming off a losing day. Hate when you lose the big ones, but nature of the beast of the business that we chose to be a part of. So we'll rebound. We hit on the Orioles yesterday, and I'm just going down the list of scores. And it's like 10-4, 9-1, 8-2, and our game's 2-1. Like just
electric. Yeah. And we gave outright to end the show. We'll do the same thing today where we did our crack of the bat dog of the day. I told you, hey, look towards the Angels and cashed a nice plus 160 right out of the gate for you folks. So we'll continue hopefully doing that. But let's turn the page here, Andy, and we'll let you know what else we got rocking at WT.buzz/AL. But Teddy Covers is in the house. He's got a best bet in college basketball going tonight. Man who over the last 3 tournaments, I believe, Teddy, it's been a nice, 64% or so. So long-term, been seeing it well in college basketball action. Pleasure to have you on, Teddy. How we doing?
Pleasure's all mine, guys. But unfortunately, I'm like Andy today. I had a crap day yesterday.
Bounce back.
And
bounce
it's
back
going to
Friday.
happen. We don't enjoy them. And when it happens, what do? Do exactly what we did the day before in terms of, you don't alter, I'm not going to pepper the board. I had a bad day yesterday. Okay. I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm disappointed in the result. But, it started, I had the Rays, they blew a 6-run lead. It's like, all right. Yeah.
That's how
when that happens on opening day, you're like, all right.
So this is how my day is going to go.
But it happens. All right. We don't panic. We don't change our approach. We come back the next day and we expect to win.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Don't panic, folks. Pump the brakes here and stay full steam ahead. Well, luckily, Teddy, it's not like we don't have to look far to cleanse our palate because we are loaded with action on the slate here today. First game that's tipping off today, actually, I think is one of the more intriguing ones for me since I told you a couple weeks ago, hey, I'm going to ride with the Johnnies in this tournament. So they're taking on Duke. Really bad draw for them. I'll be honest. When I saw where they were assigned, I was not too happy because I knew if they did continue going, they'd have to face off against this Duke team. We're seeing what, Teddy? 6.5. There's maybe 1.7 or 2 left out there. Total, we're seeing basically around that 141, 140 mark. So I'd love to hear your breakdown on this one, Teddy. I'm hoping you're saying the Johnnies are live, but I'll hold my breath and wait for your thoughts here.
Sure. And of course, looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen right now, we've seen under money this morning for St. John's, Duke, that total sitting in the 141 range, 140.5 right now. We've seen a little bit of St. John's money. Duke was -7. Now it's more like 6.5. And St. John's does have the feel of a quote unquote public underdog, but I'm really not sure how much that matters in the modern betting world. Nonetheless, it's the type of thing people like to know for whatever reason. So it is worth noting that the Red Storm are, of all the underdogs in the Sweet 16, they have been the most public in that when you look at the consensus and all those type of things. For Duke, they got Patrick Ngongba back. He returned for the TCU game. They could, and in theory should, have Caleb Foster back this evening. And that puts Duke back at full strength if Foster is back in the lineup. That matters. When it comes to this number, look, Arizona, Michigan, Duke, they're all power rated right at the top. When you talk about, I'm going to get a bargain with these teams, you're not going to get bargains with Duke or Michigan or Arizona in the rest of this tournament. The statistical profile is simply too strong. And it's worth noting, Duke 2-4 ATS their last 6, and one of the 2 covers came by less than a bucket against Clemson. Last time out versus TCU was the only time that they pulled away in any of their last 6 ball games. And even that, the first half wasn't great. One good half. That being said, one good half from Duke can be really, really good. Cam Boozer's absolutely a special player. Worth noting here, Duke is not going to play with tempo. Ken Pom has a number 280 in tempo. And St. John's obviously a team that wants to get out and run, although we've seen them play slower and have some success. And boy, you talk about a coach with a great track record in this round. That would be Mr. Pitino, 11-1 straight up, 10-2 ATS in the Sweet 16 lifetime. That dates all the way back to the 80s when the dude was at Providence. So he's had a very good track record in this round. That is, however, all in the rear view mirror. That said, St. John's feels like one of those teams that's peaking at the right time. They won the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden 2 weeks ago. They blew out Northern Iowa. They controlled most of the game versus Kansas, but they did let the Jayhawks back in it in the end. And what happened at the end of the Kansas game is my biggest concern about St. John's tonight. The guard play against Kansas just wasn't particularly good. And that's been their potential weakness. They led by 13 with 7 to play against the Jayhawks, by 9 with 4 to play. And they blew all of it, turned the ball over, poor decision-making. And that's certainly a concern. Another thing that's a concern is three-point shooting for St. John's. They're the worst three-point shooting team still standing. And when you're playing against Duke, you want to be connecting from beyond the arc. It's hard to get those paint points. So poor three-point shooting, poor guard play, or questionable three-point shooting, questionable guard play. That's not what I want against one of the 3 best teams in the country. If I'm playing, I'm laying. Duke or pass for this better. Sorry, Dan. I do not believe that the Red Storm will be worth riding after tonight because I don't think they're going to leave the tournament after tonight.
Well, that's all the time we got today for Teddy Covers. You can check him out, WT.buzz/TC. No, I get it. And that's really, for the people who I respect, that's what I've been hearing. And Teddy, you're certainly one of those. So, hey, fingers crossed here, folks, but not looking good for Rick Pitino and the chance of moving on here. Bama and Michigan is another game that's super interesting, Teddy. But before we talk about that one, I know you mentioned that you're in bounce back mode. What can folks find? I kind of alluded to it that you're locked and loaded with another top play, something you saw on the board that you were pretty excited about to fire in for clients.
Yeah, we got a 4% best bet in college hoops for tonight. We're locked and loaded in MLB for as well. Chalk layer, we're laying a price in baseball. And of course, the NBA, for all the struggles, the NBA is doing just fine. And really all the struggles. It's been a mediocre tournament. I had a bad night last night, but baseball has been good. NBA has been very good. And I have not yet posted NBA for Friday. That will be posted shortly after I get off air with you. And of course, you can put it all together in a package. Don't buy plays. 3 days, get 3 free. That's the deal right now. It really is. So check out my homepage, WT.buzz/TC. to take advantage of that offer or any of the offers that we have at WagerTalk.com.
All right, Teddy, Bama and your Michigan Wolverines here, man. This line's kind of bounced around. I mean, when we saw opens, we were at 10s. Now we're seeing some 8.5s out there, some flat 9s. Super interesting how this one's kind of bounced around. What are you thinking in this one, Teddy? I know Bama was one of the teams heading into the tournament. The guy got arrested for weed. We got to fade him, all the distractions, and they've been just fine. But now they run into the Wolverines. How are you looking to bet this one?
My Michigan Wolverines. I'm a Michigan alumni. That being said, Michigan's played in 2 national championship games in the 21st century. I bet against them in both those games. I have no hesitation betting against my Wolverines. One of the funnest things that ever happened when I first moved to Vegas was Plexico Burris going nuts in the big house against Michigan. I had Michigan State on the money line. That was 1999 or 2000 or so. So my Wolverine love ended with Chris Webber and company. That was, in the 90s, that was my team. But in Vegas, not so much. Right now, looking at the odds, a Logic Live odds screen, Michigan pretty much painted 9. There are a couple of 8.5s and 9.5s out there, but mostly 9s. Total sitting 172.5. 173. And the first question we got to ask ourselves is, do we really want to be betting against Big Ten teams right now? They were the best conference in the country in the regular season. They're the best conference in the tournament. It really hasn't been that close. 3 Big Ten teams survived in advance last night in 4 games. That being said, you talk about Holloway, and Holloway's absence hasn't mattered yet for Alabama. Alabama bombed Hofstra in the first down, and boy, I thought Texas Tech was a game that Holloway's absence would matter, and they just bombed them right from the opening tip. The first 10 minutes, that game was over. They won that by 22. And so they really haven't been tested without Holloway yet. That being said, they've been pretty good dogs, 3-0 ATS their last 3 tries. They won at Tennessee. They won at Auburn. They blew out Texas Tech last time out. The Wolverines are an interesting story from a point spread perspective. All right. You remember back in November and December, this was the best team in the country, and they had 10 straight wins by 15 points or more, and many of those wins came against tourney teams and elite teams. And at the time, I'm like, Michigan's going to be overvalued. There's no way that they can live up to this profile. Since the streak of 10 straight wins by 15 or more ended, they're 7-16 against the spread. They've been burning their backers' money. They're 1-4 ATS at the start of the Big Ten tournament. They got St. Louis last time out. That's the one everyone remembers. Oh, they beat St. Louis last time out. That's the only one they covered since the start of the Big Ten tournament. They're 2-8 ATS the last 10 and 8-2 straight up. So they're simply priced too high. Plain and simple. And the Holloway suspension got a ton of hype. LJ Kason's injury didn't. Michigan's third guard. They've missed him. So I want no part of the Wolverines in this ballgame. I think they are power rated through the roof, and they've been an overvalued commodity of late. I'm not convinced I want Alabama either, though. You know, Michigan has a size edge everywhere. You know, Yaxel Lengeborg, the leading scorer, and Morris Johnson, and the 7'3" Eddie Mara. You know, Aiden Sherrill's going to be outclassed against Michigan's front court. I really think that's going to be a problem. Michigan played on this United Center floor in Chicago 2 weeks ago. And they changed their locker room assignments because they lost the championship game. They're like, we're mad. But Alabama played on this floor as well earlier this year. So from a side standpoint, it's a problem for me. You know, it really the Nate Oak quotes, I have to read it because it's hilarious. Quote, I think we got our guys locked in, ready to go. We're going to have to execute the game plan. We're going to have to make some shots. We're going to have to take care of the ball. We're going to have to find a way to rebound. If we do that, we're going to have a chance to beat this team. Sure, if everything goes right, you will have a chance to beat this team. It's like, if this and if that and if that. I'm not in any rush to bet against Michigan. There's no value betting on Michigan. The play here is the total, in my opinion. The Wolverines are going to play with pace. Alabama has to play with pace. This feels like Arkansas, Arizona, again, part two, pace-wise. That one finished with 197 points, flew over the total 166.5 with room to spare. That was the highest total on yesterday's card. This is the highest total on today's card. Over is the way I would look.
So we're laying against the Johnnies. We're looking towards the over in the Michigan game. I was gearing up to hand you my water if you were about to hit me again with if I'm playing, I'm laying with a 9 and then I'm a 6.5. But we talked over there. That's what we got for Teddy Covers. Teddy, I would be remiss if we signed off with at least without throwing you an NBA game here to chat about, because a man who's hit 71% over the last near week, adding 10 units in NBA. We have to talk NBA. And why not talk a premier matchup? Let's get a prop in this one. Will someone break Bam Adebayo's scoring record as we got the Golden State Warriors taking on the Washington Wizards? If you've never tuned in before, yesterday we gave away a free 3-day flex pass because Andy went head-to-head with Joe. Andy won in that case. He won Chris Brady a flex pass. We'll let you know about that by the end of the show here, how you can redeem that. But guys, going to give these guys both a side. They have to break it down. Whichever one you agree with here, you're going to comment below and let us know, including your WagerTalk username, and boom, you're entered in for a 3-day flex pass. So Teddy, if you're playing, you're laying. This one actually probably is a pretty easy case of breaking down why Golden State should be the 2-touchdown favorite against the Washington Wizards. That's your side, Teddy. Sell me on it.
Ooh, so this game in particular, it's really hard to make a case for either of the two teams. It's not like the war. I mean, this is a Warriors team that isn't concerned at all about anything but getting the, they're not winning the play-in game either. But Steve Kerr and all the quotes coming out of Golden State are, we're just trying to get there. Seeding doesn't matter. The good news for Golden State, and I'm making the Golden State side of this argument right now.
Yes, sir. You're laying 14.
The good news for Golden State is that since the end of January, they have won by this margin twice. So it happens every once in a while. The better news, because I can't make a pro Golden State case. I can very much make an anti-Washington case. And Washington is coming off a win in Utah. I think they have the single worst point spread record in the NBA coming off a win this year. I got a 5-11 ATS coming off a W. And when you look at the Wizards roster, even compared to Golden State's, it's all G League, It's not a recognized, So a very bad team coming off a win, now facing an opponent that has been getting slapped around a little bit. Yeah, I guess you can lay it with Golden State. I know I don't want the dog.
I like this segment because RJ sums it up. Can't make an argument for either team. Yeah, that's the point. These guys have to. And then you have a chance to win a free 3-day flex pass. So Andy, ugliest dog. I've asked you to break down some plus 30.5s in the tournament, and somehow this feels grosser. Let me know. They're making it 2 straight here for the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, you don't want to be laying 14 points with the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors coming off of 2 wins against other tanking teams, and they win by the big margin of 3 points against the Brooklyn Nets and 6 in an overtime game. They almost lost outright to Dallas. Before that, a slew of losses. This team is without without their leaders, their best players, and without a whole lot of motivation. Meanwhile, the Washington Wizards, they're coming off of a big win against Utah, which I'm sure the coaching staff got a talking to from the general manager. Like, what are you doing? Why are we winning? But we've seen this game just a couple of weeks ago, March 16th, Golden State. Golden State wins. They only win by 8. I don't know where they're getting this 14 number. And the fact is Washington gets blown to smithereens against the really good teams. But against some of the other tanking teams, they perform a little bit better. So too many points. I know the Wizards are terrible, but this is a number based on previous Golden State rosters, not the current one. Give me the Wizards.
Bang. Comment below who you agree with. Plus 14, how we're grading it. Do we get a push? Well, the only way you get a chance is if you comment below and let us know. Make sure you include your WagerTalk username. Teddy, always a pleasure. If you want some more NBA talk, some games that Teddy actually has opinions on, check out Teddy's tips every single day right here on this channel. All you got to do is like and subscribe. And Teddy, you mentioned that moneymaker that you got rocking tonight in college basketball, but we'd be remiss if we signed off without mentioning. You seen NBA or MLB? I know it's new, I know it's fresh, but going back to September 15-6, and you got something in MLB you got up for the folks. They can buy those plays, Teddy, or we got that buy 3 get 3 days free. So let them know about that over at your page too before we send you on your way.
I expect to make money in MLB right from the get-go. I expect to make money in NBA. These last 10 days of the season when no one's paying attention to the NBA, I pay attention. So there's money to be made. And check it out on my homepage. Again, wt.buzz/TC is the quick link, or just visit wagertalk.com. And the best value right now, really, buy 3 days, get 3 free. It's $69 for 6 days of action, every play, every day. If you're interested, get on board. Cheers.
Thanks, Teddy. Appreciate it. Best of luck this weekend, brother. Love it, Andy. Absolutely love it. And sorry I did that to you. Sorry you had to break down the Wizards, but it had to happen, Andy.
I kind of wanted that side. That is way too many points against Golden. That is way too many points against Golden State. So
I guess time will tell.
Yeah, Kylie asked about PFL lines. Dupross should roll against this Ethan Goss guy. Ethan Goss is the guy that's from Pittsburgh. That's probably going to get mollywopped. I kind of like Josh Fremd against. Well, I don't think Fremd is that bad. There's a woman's name that her last name is Postar Nakova, and every time I look at it, it looks like porn star. So I won't be betting on that fight. Robert Watley. Principle. Yeah, Robert Watley should beat Dakota Bush. Not sure I agree with the line. Here's a good over. Natan Schulte and Jacob Kazuba. Schulte has a hilarious story. His last fight, PFL made him fight against the godfather of his son. They made 2 best friends get in the ring, and they basically refused to fight. They just pitter pattered, and the fight was so bad they canceled the fight and kicked him out of PFL. So we're taking the over,
forcing the Godfather to fight. That's essentially what people thought was happening in the Eagles locker room between Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. It was happening in real life. So there you go.
Oh, awful. Pergandi should win, and then I like Dalton Roast in the co-main, and I like the dog Brian Battle in the main. I worry about Eblin not wrestling. So that's your PFL breakdown. So, all right, let's break down Mark. Let's bring in Marco so we can break down some games that people are actually going to watch.
Marco.
How are you, Marco? Happy Friday.
It's good, guys. We're seeing the tournament very well. A 2-0 night last night with a 5% on Illinois. Basically a wire-to-wire winner. Definitely wire-to-wire second half. They came out of the halftime break there. I'll admit I was a little bit nervous when they Houston hit the 3 right at the end of the half to cut it to 2. I'm like,
about the last thing they hit. Yeah.
Yeah. It was because they were dominated the whole first half, and then somehow managed to get into the break at only down 2. and but Illinois came out, and it was Katie bar the door after that. So enjoyable. I didn't have to lose any more of this receding hairline on that one.
well, Marco, it's all good. We don't judge. We got a safe space right here. But no, it's been great for clients for you in the tournament. It's been great for viewers a bet on it as well. We had a great bet on it last week, and guys, that show is live still right now. So after you're done watching us here, go check that out. Still some games that they talked about their best bets for Friday as they broke down their Thursday ones as well. But Marco, let's get into these. Let's talk. We gave Teddy Michigan. You'll get to chat Michigan State here, and I'm just checking our odds logic screen. This one's going to 945 tonight, and this one, out of all the games, Teddy, this is one of the tighter ones. And you know, last night you had Illinois, you had the winner in one of those tight spreads. So these games that have been the coin flips, that's been your bread and butter. So round one, 1.5, there's twos out there too. Obviously, UConn the favorite in this one. How are you looking at bet? Is it another dog or pass for you, Marco?
This is the toughest game of the Sweet 16 round for me, because I can honestly, I've gone back and forth in this game, and I could make a case for either side. If this was one of those ones that you put me up against Andy and just threw a side at me, I could, give a good case for whichever side you threw. But what I'm looking at here, and this is the thing about these two teams, they're very similar in so many ways. We know that Coach Izzo, his trademark has always been, you know what, we don't care. I'm going to play a tough out-of-conference schedule. And once again this year, he did that. He played out-of-conference, Arkansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, and Duke. You talk about, the three blue bloods there, out of conference. Well, Coach Hurley, he knows how to get a team ready too. And, he took a page out of Izzo's book. He scheduled out of conference this year: BYU, Arizona, Illinois, Kansas, Florida. Do you notice that a lot of those teams that I mentioned, made the Sweet 16? No surprise there. And that's why both of these teams are here in the Sweet 16. They don't shy away from competition, because that's how you get your team ready to play in March. Now, with that said, I look at these two teams. I look at, the offense and defensive numbers. Offensively, they're basically the same. You got Michigan State 37th. You've got UConn 44th. Where the difference is in the defense. Connecticut has the better numbers. They're ranked 13th this year. But if you look at the two conferences, and here's where it separates. They both played tough out-of-conference schedules, so that's a wash for me. But if I look at the conference play, that's where I break it down and I end up on the Michigan State side, because the Big Ten, by far and away, much better conference, top to bottom, than the Big East was. Yes, the Big East had two teams in the Sweet 16, but that's it, man. After that, the conference was not that good. And you have so many teams in the Big Ten that are still alive, and other ones that were middle of the road that, would have been, finishing third easily in the Big East. So that's where it's going to side me to Michigan State. This is going to be a classic. I love to, any chance I get to throw this one out there, I love to do it. It's going to be a snobber knocker, okay? You're not going to see them going up and down the floor. It's going to be a game not quite as bad as the first half of Illinois-Houston, where you had a 24-22 score. And I had to laugh when they were coming out at halftime. Did you guys catch, the announcers making, they had to read the stat, because Houston only had 22 points in the first half. They gave the stat that was like a gazillion and one of teams that scored 22 points or less in the first half that they don't win in the second half. No shit. You scored 22 points in the first half. You're usually not going to win a game. But in this case, the other team only had 24. So it was a toss-up. But why would you even say a stat like that? I mean, it's stupid. I'm going Michigan State, guys.
I love it. Hey, going with the +1.5, +2, +2.5 worked out for the clients last night. Back to the well. Look towards the dog, says Marco D'Angelo. Marco, let folks know. I mean, we talked about it, man. This tournament has been great for you. It's the prep that you put in heading into the tournament. And the fact that really, you kind of lay back in the regular season so that you can gear up for this. And it's worked out well. So let's continue rolling. The deals we have up over your page, our buy 3, get 3 days free, no brainer right there. You have a great all access code if people want to hop on a little bit longer. So let folks know about why we've been seeing it so well, how you've been cashing for clients, and why they should check it out.
Guys, what's great about WagerTalk, and you mentioned Bet on it. Okay, when you watch Bet on it and you see Kelly, you see Ace and myself, we break the games down. You get to understand how we do what we do. Okay, we're not, so many handicappers out there at other sites, you don't even see their face. You don't even know if they can actually speak English, whatever, have a sentence to break down a game. We do that. And you get to understand where we're coming from and our styles, which is great because the person you want to follow, you got to be comfortable with, because sometimes they're going to tell you something you're not going to want to hear. You're going to like the other side. And if you're going to follow a handicapper, you have to trust them. And if you've been watching Bet on it, last week I went 4-0 on the show with the breakdowns. We gave a game yesterday. We gave out Arizona, and exactly the way we broke the game down on the show is the way it played out. Easy winner. So we're going for 6 in a row on Bet on it with the play that we got up tonight. So be sure to check my Twitter account. I'll have the breakdown there, the video. You can watch it or watch the whole show for the Friday and get everything. But guys, if you want to come on board for the full season, you can do so for $3 a day. Okay. It's what it comes out to if you use coupon code Marco25. It's already discounted at $14.99 or $14.59. But if you use that coupon, you get it down even further. We're taking another 25% off. Comes out to under $1,100 for a full season. That's just $3 a day. You can't get a coffee for $3 a day, and you're going to get my plays. And we've been doing well, and that's every sport. All the extras. And speaking of extras, there's going to be one tomorrow. Big day in horse racing tomorrow, because 2 of the bigger Kentucky Derby preps are tomorrow. The Florida Derby, and I've had great success in the Florida Derby, and I absolutely love a horse tomorrow in the Florida Derby. Guess what? My all access clients are going to get my breakdown of that race and that horse when they're in for the buy 3 days, get 3 days free. That'll include all of that as well. So a lot to do. We got a 4% play up tonight, not a 5%, but guys, you know what? There hasn't been much difference between my 4s and my 5s. The 5% plays are on a 45-23 run. Those 4% plays are on a 27-14 run. So head over to WagerTalk.com or just go straight to my link. It's wt.buzz/MD.
I love it, Marco. Couldn't have put it any better myself. We've talked every single Elite Eight matchup here this week on Wager Talk Today. Marco even gives you a little sprinkle that you can check on over if you do want to bet some ponies this weekend, wt.buzz/MD. But let's finish it off, Marco. We talked all of them. Let's talk the last one that tips, and that's Tennessee, Iowa State, 4.5, 4s. I see a rogue 3.5 out there at one of these rec books. Marco, how are you looking to bet this one as the Cyclones are taking on Tennessee?
Full disclosure, when I did my brackets, guys, I did have Iowa State going to the Final Four. That was one of my Final Four teams. But I got to tell you right now, I think the stock is maybe just a tad too high on Iowa State. They're coming off back-to-back blowouts. 34-point win in the first round, 19-point win in the second round. But let's look at it. Beating Tennessee State in the first round, that doesn't move the needle an ounce for me. Okay, totally outmanned in that defensive Iowa State. Tennessee State had no shot in that game. But where I think people are going to overreact is the 19-point win over Kentucky. And the reason being, Kentucky still has that, that name, that blue blood. This year's Kentucky team is nothing close to what we've seen before from Kentucky. It's the second year removed from Calipari being gone, and I still think they carry weight with that name. And people are going to overreact to Iowa State blowing them out. They're also going to look at Tennessee and say, Tennessee, 8-4 over its last 12 games. Well, you know what? Let's look at those 4 losses. You know, this is something I always do on Bet On It, and I do it with Marco's Deli, which, by the way, I will have a Marco's Deli up later this evening. Be sure to tune in for that. We'll take a look at tomorrow's Elite 8 matchups. But that 8-4 record down the stretch, here's the 4 losses. One of them came right after they went on the road and beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is their in-state rival. That was a big win. What happened? They played a couple days later, another road game. They went to Missouri. They lost that game. That is the old fat and sassy, okay? Missouri got them in a right spot. Their next loss was to Alabama by 2 points. Well, you know what? There's no shame in that loss to Alabama because Alabama is another Sweet 16 team. And then look at the final 2 losses. The final game of the regular season to who? Oh, it was to Vanderbilt, that in-state rival that you just beat a couple weeks earlier. Vanderbilt got their revenge. And then the final loss came in the SEC tournament. To who? Oh, guess what? Vanderbilt. And the SEC tournament, where was it played? It was played in Nashville, not Vanderbilt's home court because it was at Bridgestone Arena, but it was in their home city. So huge edge for Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament. So you look at those 4 games, 3 of the 4 losses all had something to do with Vanderbilt. Well, Vanderbilt's nowhere in sight tonight. We're going to go ahead and look at them. I think they can stay with Iowa State. And if you look at the last 6 games for Tennessee, they've held 5 of the last 6 opponents to 40% or less shooting, which I said Iowa State does have a great defense, but over the last 6 games, Tennessee has played much better defensively. I am going to go ahead, take the points with them. And the last thing, you hear me talk about it in football and in basketball, the injured player theory, okay? We don't know whether Jefferson's going to play tonight or not for Iowa State. All indications is he's going to try to give it a go. He has been practicing, but it's not going to be official till a game time decision. They won without him in the last game. What do we always tell you? Teams will rise to the occasion when they don't have a player. So they've already won without him. And I think people will say, okay, that's fine. And if he comes back, that's even better. No, it's not. Okay. Because that's when you get a little bit of a mental letdown because now you got a player back. I think Tennessee's the side. I have this as another one that's going to come down to the wire. I've got it as a 1 to 3 point game. And if I've got it that tight and I can grab a 4, there's only one way to go, and that's Tennessee.
Love it. That's Marco D'Angelo, WT.buzz/MD. Marco, I know we're full steam ahead. Obviously, you're betting the ponies. As you mentioned there, we're full steam ahead here on college basketball, but it is MLB season. It has arrived. Folks are wondering, you have any tips? Do you attack the season full bore? Or do you kind of sit back, learn a little bit? Because I said yesterday, I think MLB, out of any sport that any of us cap or talk about, data-driven and big sample sizes is what you'll want to be confident betting MLB. Do you agree? How do you kind of attack MLB as we move into this part of the year?
Absolutely. And, baseball has always been, one of my better sports. Anytime I get a chance to throw it out there, back 2010, I had the 25-game winning streak in Major League Baseball. And we did that, never laying minus 120. That's probably my most, the thing that I'm the most proud of in my career. That's for crazy. How long I've been doing this. But guys, baseball's a long season. Okay. And the one tip that I'm going to tell you, and it's so easy to want to pull that trigger, because let's face it, there's no way, unless they have massive injuries, there's no way that we shouldn't be looking at a World Series that doesn't include the LA Dodgers. Okay. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. This is a team that was the best team last year, and they fixed the one hole they had last year. They beefed up their lineup batting-wise, which wasn't a problem last year. Their problem was the bullpen. Okay. They blew 26 saves and still won the World Series last year. Well, they addressed that in the offseason. But guys, you are going to pay a price all year to bet the Dodgers. And every year when you get done at the end of the season and you look at the best teams in baseball, the best team's going to be, below 650. Okay. And 650 doesn't cut it if you're laying over 200 every single game. And when they're at home, they're going to be well over 200 many, many times this year. I actually was talking with Ralph, Stat Daddy, yesterday. I told him, I said, you can look it up. How many times were they a 300 favorite last year? I said, they're going to break that record this year. And I think there were 30 sometimes that were over 300 favorite last year. They will go over that this year. Trust me, with this roster and pitching staff. And you've got to win at an insane number. So don't do that. Early season, be careful. Paul Skeens yesterday, you saw what happened to him. When you're coming out of spring training, remember, these guys had limited innings. Some of them need a couple starts to get in that groove. And in his case, he had the World Baseball Classic. Maybe that was the little coming off that, being a little fat and sassy, and it bit him in the butt yesterday for Pittsburgh. So don't rush to the window to bet favorites in baseball, guys.
Couldn't agree more, especially right out of the gate. That's what I was saying yesterday. We were like, what are we doing with the Astros minus 190? Like what? Because the Astros choke every single year and they're playing the Angels with a new manager. So yeah, I think great advice from Marco, one of the guys who's been winning year after year in MLB. And Andy, could you imagine if we did the ladder challenge with a 25 play run of Marco D'Angelo? Like everyone on Twitter always bragging, hey, it's my 10 ladder challenge. Marco hit 25 in a row. That may be one that's untouchable, Andy. That may be like,
it's untouchable. With the
I'm
markets the way they are,
and laying under minus 120. That's the part that you could not do in 2026. You literally can't.
Yeah,
because most books start minus 120 both sides at these freaking rec books. So
I will tell you, Marco, it's a huge bragging point. That streak, it's once in a lifetime, but I really don't like it because anytime anybody at WagerTalk goes on a nice run, there's someone. Marco hit 25. It's like, I get it. I hit 9. Can I at least be proud of that? Well, Marco,
nope.
You only got 16 more to go.
Carmine's come. He's had some runs where he's got it. In the upper teens. And, and I always say when somebody gets on the run, I am rooting hard for you guys till you get to 20. And then after that, I start. Oh, that wasn't good.
Then at that point, Marco's throwing shit and he's saying, John Murray, you got to put in your calls because they're getting too close.
I've literally sent Carmine, when he got over 20 once, I start sending him a daily GIF. It's a black cat filing his nails.
Come on, Marco.
I'm sorry. You know what? How they always have the athlete that his record's about to get broke. They bring him to this, stadium, congratulate. I'm going to tell you right now, don't invite me. Okay.
Don't invite him.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry.
That's great.
I want that on my. I've already told Lori, put that on my tombstone below the date of my passing. The only man to hit 25 games in a row. I want that on my tombstone.
Marco's like Michael Corleone bringing the Patanjali brother to the sentencing hearing. So he's like, yeah, you want to hit this? Oh man, I love it, Marco. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. And good luck this weekend, man. You got the Derby, you got the college basketball action. Keep that run going. Always a pleasure, Marco. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
All right, Dan. Let's do
unboxing time.
Well, let's do all around the world because we got 4 plays to go over today. And then, yes, we will do an unboxing of a mystery autographed baseball. So a couple people in the comments have made it very clear that I don't know who some of these players are. And you're right.
I don't give a shit. We got this one, and Andy, I don't know if you sent me the graphic or not, but I missed it if you sent it to me for all around the world. But we had one guy who was in the comments who was like, I don't believe that you guys don't know. Or when we had the Diaz ball, and he was like, Dan, how do you cap these sports and you don't know who Yair Diaz or whatever the hell his name is? I've already forgot it. And I literally commented back to him, Andy. I went to the personal page even, and I was like, buddy, if my livelihood relies on knowing the entire Astros roster, please just kill me. Please kill me. If what my success as a bettor, Andy, relies on knowing the Astros roster, take me out behind the shed and old yell at me, please, because that is not a place I want to be at.
All right. I just sent you all around the world, so I think we're ready to rock here. Okay,
let's do it.
Let's go with player prop. Mariners, Guardians, Gavin Williams over 3.5 hits allowed. I just think this number should be 4.5. And we cashed on Scooble to go over his strikeouts yesterday. That was a good one. Early on in the season, I know, Marco was talking about the lines are, kind of weird. I think player props is great for the start of the year. The books are going to try and nail in what these numbers should be. So fact is, Gavin Williams gave up over 3.5 hits in 75% of his games last season. They've gone over the last couple times against Seattle. He does have a decent history against some of the batters, but I just feel like this number should be 4.5, not 3.5. This one's been good to us. Cameron Johnson over 11.5 points. He's gone over in 8 out of the last 9 games. This is a streak we have been on. And we're making 5 to 6 shots per game, and 2 to 3 of them are 3-pointers. And the Nuggets offense has been on fire, and they get a Jazz defense that is just truly atrocious. So Cameron Johnson over his points. NASCAR race. Someone asked about the NASCAR race. I would take Toyota to win at plus 150. One guy has won 4 races, and he's in a Toyota. The Hendricks and the Chevy cars have been trash this season. One of the guys isn't even racing because he's got vertigo. And the Fords, you only got a couple guys that can win. So Toyotas, you got Bubba Wallace, you got Denny Hamlin, you got Tyler Reddick, all guys that have just been on fire in these new cars. And then I normally don't like betting tennis this late, but it's the championship in the women's. You want to talk about an absolute wagon. Sabalenka is straight up like crushing everybody. She's playing Coco Gauff. I think she wins 2-0. Dan, she has won 21 out of 23 matches this year. She's won 2-0. She's not just winning. She is absolutely crushing everybody. The 2 that she went over, she played against Rybakina, and she beat Rybakina 2-0 yesterday, and she beat Coco Gauff early, in November 2-0. It's only minus 110. So, yeah. I think I like that one. So, all right, Dan, you ready for an unboxing?
I'm always ready for the unboxing. I'm ready for the hate comments to come. Whether you're commenting hate or commenting, hey, I love the show, just comment below. And in case you missed earlier, Andy and Teddy went head-to-head, Wizards versus Warriors. You can comment below. Do you agree with Teddy laying the 14 or Andy taking the 14? Comment with your WagerTalk username. That's your chance to win a free 3-day flex pass.
Are you like those cringy people who buy Optic to chase the downtown football cards? No. So the backstory here is I used to get paid to go play a bunch of arcade games for a TV show, and I got really good at winning jackpots at Dave & Buster's. And so I hadn't checked the balance on the card in years, and I had like 300,000 points on my card. So I went and got a bunch of these mystery autographed baseballs, and we're unboxing one each day, and then I will put them all up for sale. So, all right, ready, Dan?
One of my favorite parts of Andy lore is I used to get paid to win Dave & Buster's game. It's like there's so many parts of Andy Lang lore that I love. That's one of my favorites.
I mean, it was. I think we got 3 seasons out of the show, and it was the best. The best of that. Okay. This one is Andrew Jones. Andrew spelled with a U. I have heard of Andrew Jones. 10-time Gold Glove winner. 2 times minor league player of the year. Is that a bragging point?
I mean, it might be. It might be. I mean, ask Adam Trigger. I'm sure he would be. What's the name again here, Andy? I want to pull it.
Andrew Jones, ANDRUW. Hank Aaron Award in 2005. 2005 ML Player of the Year, 2005 NL Silver Slugger in the outfielder, and 10 times Gold Glove winner. So Andrew,
what do we got here?
Jones.
Andy, there's some of these that are going $100.
Nice.
Is it spelled ANDRUW Jones?
Yes, Andrew Jones. Yes.
And is it just his signature? That's it.
Yep.
Doesn't say anything else. Doesn't say any, Hall of Fame on it. Just the signature. Yes, you're anywhere from about $50 to $99.99. That's not bad there, Andy. Not
Let's
bad
go.
at all.
Let's go. All right. I'm adding that to the pile. So, all right.
S. Warrior, always on time, buddy. Always on time. An hour and 3 minutes into our 45-minute show. You are right on time, buddy.
Just missed it. Just $20, Crimson.
And OG Hater 69, aka Hal, aka Carmine's biggest fan. You know I love you, buddy. He said yeah. I do. I shout out the haters because then it brings more hateful comments, Andy, which then will keep the algorithm going. So
yes,
so it's
yes.
part of the job description. OG Hater 69. I love you, buddy. Even if I do lie like a rug. I know we got to get out of here, Andy, but real quick, let me just give you the dog that I am eyeing, and I have bet in baseball tonight. So your crack of the bat, dog of the night. Last night we cashed a plus 160, so we're up 1.6 units on this. I'm looking to go right back Detroit Tigers. I know Chris Allen in the Detroit office is happy to hear this. We're seeing anywhere from like plus 104, plus 110. Yes, I know they won 8-2 last night, but I saw nothing out of that Padres team that makes me think you play the zigzag. The lineup looked really bad. The pitching looked really bad. Framber Valdez, he's going to be making his first start here as a member of the Detroit Tigers. He's going to want to make a bit of an input, and then you're going to say, oh, well, what about the bullpen? Skubal went 6 last night, so it's not like the bullpen was all kinds of taxed up. That lineup of the Padres left a lot to be desired, even if you take out the fact that Skubal was absolutely dealing. And then they're sending King to the mound. Oh, it's exciting. We finally got one of our best pitchers back. Yeah, but he spent majority of last season with like 20 different injuries on the IL. So nothing changed from last night. Do I think they win 8-2? Probably not, but give me plus 110. Detroit Tigers, crack of the bat. Boom. Dog of the day, Andy.
All right. I love it. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Running a little late, so we got to get going.
To add this fast, Cheshire. Come on, buddy. I'm here now.
All right. Let's have a big weekend, guys. Take advantage of the buy 3 days, get 3 free. We got a big weekend, multiple 4% best bets that go up. PFL and UFC plays going up later today. Looking forward to a big weekend, and we'll see you guys same time, same place on Monday to recap everything and get ready for it next week. Good luck on all your bets. We'll see everyone Monday. Take care.